Welcome back to Unknown Crimes, the podcast that dives into the most chilling and lesser-known criminal cases from around the world. I'm your host, Layla Johnson, and today's episode we will be talking about Axel Ritakubana, who killed 3 girls at Taylor Swift-themed dance party. Ritakubana was born in Cardiff, Wales, to Christian parents from Rwanda, and investigators haven't been able to pin down his motivation. Police found documents about subjects including Nazi Germany, the Rwandan genocide and car bombs on his devices. Southport killer Axel Ritakubana has been sentenced to a minimum of 52 years for the sadistic murders of 3 young girls in an attack described as shocking and pure evil. Elsie Stankamp, 7, BB King, 6, and Alice da Silva Aguiar, 9. Died while 8 other children and 2 adults, dance class leader Leanne Lucas and businessman Jonathan Hayes, were seriously wounded. The 18-year-old refused to come into the courtroom as he was sentenced at Liverpool Crown Court, having been removed from the dock earlier due to disruptive behavior, which included demands to see a paramedic and shouts of "I feel ill." Sentencing him, Judge Mr. Justice Goose said, "Many who have heard the evidence might describe what he did as evil. Warning, this story will contain distressing details." Earlier, the details of Ritakubana's crimes were laid out in court for the first time in graphic detail, including CCTV and dashboard camera footage from outside the Hart Space Studios on Hart Street. The court heard how, just after 11:45 British Summer Time on July 29, Ritakubana moved through the sold-out Taylor Swift-themed dance workshop, organized by Ms. Lucas, systematically stabbing young girls as they sat making friendship bracelets and singing along to Swift's music. Prosecutor Deanna Casey also described how Ritakubana gloated about the attacks as he was escorted through Copy Lane police station after his arrest, saying he was glad the children were dead. The teenager had booked a taxi to take him to Hart Street after leaving his home in Old School Close, Banks, West Lancashire, at 11:10 British Summer Time, the court was told. Ms. Here played footage of Ritakubana asking the driver to point him to the address of the dance class before getting out, without paying. The driver's dashboard camera also captured Ritakubana walk up the stairs of the Hart Space building to the first floor studio, which had 26 children, Ms. Lucas, and her colleague and friend Heidi Little inside. Seconds later, the sounds of screaming children filled the courtroom and the footage showed girls streaming out of the Hart Space dance studio. The families of the victims cried in the public gallery as Ms. Here played footage of 3 of the girls staggering into the street and collapsing, including 2 of the survivors and Alice. Unlike BB and Elsie, Alice had managed to get out of the building despite her grave injuries, but collapsed by the car of a woman who had arrived to pick up her daughter. Inside the studio, BB had been subjected to 122 knife wounds, while Elsie had 85. Ms. Little and 1 other child were hiding in a locked toilet on a landing outside, Ms. Little later describing how she realized that some of the children had not escaped when she heard them begging Ritakubana to stop. The police arrived at Hart Street shortly before 11:59 British Summer Time. 3 officers and a member of the public, window cleaner Joel Verite, charged up those stairs to find Ritakubana stood over the body of BB King holding a knife. Police body camera footage showed him tackled to the floor as Mr. Verite shouted in utter shock and horror at the injuries he saw had been inflicted on BB. A short time later, Ms. Little and the child hiding with her were seen sobbing in terror and relief as the police told them it was safe to emerge. One of the survivors, a 7-year-old girl referred to as Child A, had been pulled back inside the building by Ritakubana as she tried to escape and was stabbed repeatedly, before managing to stagger into the street where she fell to the ground. A statement written by the mother of Child A, read by Ms. Here, said her father had been broken by what happened to his daughter. "Our daughter has not only experienced the most violent, frenzied attack on her body, but she's witnessed so much horror too." The leader of the dance class, Ms. Lucas, who read her statement in court, looked around the packed courtroom at the family members of fellow victims and survivors as she spoke. She said, "He targeted us because we were women and girls, vulnerable and easy prey. To discover that he had always set out to hurt the vulnerable is beyond comprehensible." For Alice, Elsie, BB, Heidi and the surviving girls, I'm surviving for you. Victim impact statements were also read out by Ms. here, in which the grieving families of two of the murder victims branded their daughter's killer as pure evil and said his actions had have left them in continuous pain. Dan Riai's case C, mitigating, told the court Ritakubana had appeared to have been a normal child until he reached 13. In 2019, he phoned a children's advice line to ask what should I do if I want to kill somebody? He said he had taken a knife to school because he wanted to kill someone who was bullying him. 2 months later, he attacked a fellow student with a hockey stick and was convicted of assault. Prosecutors said Ritakubana was referred 3 times to the government's anti-extremism program, PREVENT, when he was 13 and 14, once after researching school shootings in class, then for uploading pictures of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi to Instagram and for researching a London terror attack. But they concluded his crimes should not be classed as terrorism because Ritakubana had no discernible political or religious cause. Here said his purpose was the commission of mass murder, not for a particular end, but as an end in itself. Mr. Riais said, there is no psychiatric evidence before the court that could suggest that a mental disorder contributed to the defendant's actions. However, he did make a transition from a normal, well-disciplined child to someone who was capable of committing acts of such shocking and senseless violence. In his sentencing remarks, Justice Goose said, I am sure Ritakubana had the settled determination to carry out these offenses, and had he been able to, he would have killed each and every child, all 26 of them. Justice Goose confirmed the offenses did not reach the legal definition of terrorism because he did not kill to further a political, religious, or ideological cause. However, he told the packed courtroom that whether the motivation was terrorism or not misses the point. Ritakubana was sentenced for 3 counts of murder, 10 of attempted murder, 1 of producing the biological toxin ricin and 1 of possession of an Al-Qaeda training manual, an offense under the Terrorism Act. Earlier, the Prime Minister said the thoughts of the entire nation were with the families of Ritakubana's victims. Sir Keir said, I want to say directly to the survivors, families and community of Southport, you are not alone. We stand with you in your grief. What happened in Southport was an atrocity, and as the judge has stated, this vile offender will likely never be released. After one of the most harrowing moments in our country's history, we owe it to these innocent young girls and all those affected to deliver the change that they deserve. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Remember, the darkest crimes are closer than you think, and they're always watching. Until next time, stay aware and stay curious.